All right, guys, welcome to the Bone Maniac podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Kelderman.
And I'm the Maniac, and here, guys, we're going to bring you from field to audio our firsthand experiences, not only with our partners, but just everyday life that we're going to be doing out here hunting.
Today's episode is brought to you by BuildThaBone Minerals.
Hey, guys, the Maniac here, and we have Shane Ellis, the Director of Sales with BuildThaBone. Shane, it's great to have you on board tonight.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. This is great.
You bet. I tell you, it's what's it been? I think I made a post when we started talking about our initial collaboration. It's back. I mean, it's got to be about 10 years ago that we met at Frank's Deer Yard there in Peebles, Ohio, and it's just amazing how small the industry is, and then you turn around and here we are working together.
100%. It was so funny how I was going there to buy deer urine, ran into you, and everything seems like it happened for a reason. That's for sure.
100%, man. Well, let's get right into the nuts and bolts of why we're here tonight, and you'll get to explain to all of our listeners of what we have to offer, what you have to offer as far as BuildThaBone Minerals are all about. We want to talk about, first off, of your position with the company, and talk about how it's formed, and we'll just roll right into this. And everybody knows about how important minerals and keeping a healthy deer herd is all about. So it's like we're just going to reiterate about what the key components is of why BuildThaBone is important.
Well, first off, I grew up, my dad's from northern Minnesota, so we grew up hunting grouse, ducks. We were bird hunters, and when we had a hunting season, we'd go to public land and we'd shoot deer. Life went on, and we had my brothers and I and my dad were able to buy 75 acres, put it up to public hunting, and we're really excited about it and trying to manage our deer. So fast forward, and I met Craig Colbreth of BuildThaBone Minerals by accident. I had a friend invite me to an Elk Foundation meeting, and I was in the meeting and the dinner, and Craig was at one of the first expos he did just next to us. I went to use the restroom, got to talking to him, saw the ingredients in his bag. I didn't have the cash on me because he was cash only at that time. And,
right?
Just as honest.
Bad thing. That's not a bad thing, man. I think we need to all be cash.
And I grabbed his card, and I saw the ingredients in there. And 16 years prior to that, we have our place in Southern Ohio. I had used everything under the sun. I mean, guys, I'm not joking when I said I went to expos and spent $300-400. I wanted to see what was working. I knew that the deer needed more than just corn. So I really, really bought more than I should have and spent so much money trying everything. I got his card, and I just had a feeling. Long story short, when I left the expo the next day, I called him, and I said, next weekend, I'm going to drive 4 hours to your house because he's 4 hours south of me, and I'm going to buy a whole barrel, 500 pounds. He goes, Shane, you haven't even tried it. And I said, I'm telling you, I've got a feeling about it. There's something about it. And that's how kind of we got started.
No kidding. Well, I mean, when things are meant to be, they're just meant to be. And when you see those type of ingredients, and like if you're out there hunting and you do some research, you'll realize that, it's not every state has those minerals in the ground, and it's important that everyone utilizes those to the full potential. Do you agree?
I agree 100%. And up to that point, I actually had no knowledge of minerals, and I truly did not realize how important it was for the deer. I knew I needed to do something, but I was trying everything. And what blew my mind is after I got that barrel, I drove directly to our cabin, which was 4.5 hours from Craig's house, and I put it out. And 2 weeks later, I went back and checked my cameras. And guys, I'm not kidding. And he can attest to this. I called him and I said, Craig, I said, is this shit legal? I swear to you. And he started laughing like the biggest laugh he ever had. He said, I knew you'd be calling me. And I said, Craig, I mean, you're talking to a guy for 16 years that has used everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything up to that point, you know, and the way the deer were coming to it and how consistent they were coming to it. And some of the deer, how many times they were coming to it in a 24-hour period, whether it was at night or not. And you only can tell that if there's certain deer, you know, there might be a doe with a scrape on her, or you can tell your deer if you're really looking at the cameras, you know. And when I saw how often the same deer were coming to the minerals, I was like, this guy, he's got something. And it blew my mind. It really did.
Well, you know, and folks do know, you know, their deer, you know, and a lot of guys will say, you know, that's not the same doe. And you're like, yeah, it really is. And there's certain characteristics about those animals that, you know. So it's, you know, I have tons of testimonies about that, and I'm sure you do too. And Ethan, I'm sure you do as well there in Iowa. And, you know, and the importance of having a healthy animal population, no matter, you know, if you're on 20 acres or if you're on 2,000 acres, I think it's a key importance that as conservationists, as hunters, you know, that people need to realize that, you know, we pay 90% of that conservation. So it's, you know, one of the key things that, you know, I start off with now is like, you know, why do you feel that it's so important that we should replenish, mineral sites or establish mineral sites or keep putting those out in states that it's actually legal? And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like as hunters, we're contributing to the, you know, so-called conservation of the federal lands and this and that. I feel like it should be, this is my opinion only, I feel like it should be legal in every state because we're buying hunting license. We're the ones that's actually contributing to the ultimate succession of wild animal and wild game. And I feel like, you know, we should be able to help manage the herd just as much as, you know, the folks that go spend a 4-year or 8-year degree or whatever they go and, you know, decide to, you know, do their management skills or whatever for populations. You know, ultimately, I think we're the ones that's out there in the woods and doing the most research and knowing the game better than anyone. So I feel that it should be legalized in every state. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I did a short clip not too long ago on my little Instagram and Facebook, and just said the market's flooded. It really is. And
yeah,
there's so many people that don't know what to buy, to do. You know, you got guys on there saying, oh, you guys are just after and not me personally, but the mineral industry, you know, across the board, or the feed industry, however you want to look at it. You're just after the new people that don't know, and that's not true. You know, I wish I had the knowledge that I have now, and I wish I had BuildThaBone's product. The 16 years that I wasted, if I added that up, I could probably build a new house. Because I'm not kidding, guys. You know, I was so passionate about making sure my deer had something. When I finally had a place of my own, and it doesn't have to be 75 acres. It could be 10 acres. It could be 20 acres, like you said. But when you really invest in it, you are investing in that property, and you're investing in to make the deer the best they can be. It's genetics. There is a lot of genetics, in some places better than others. But I will tell you, BuildThaBone Mineral will help you maximize the potential of your deer in that area. and I truly have not seen anything like that before.
Yeah, so I guess I was just curious, what you know and what you've experienced as far as the time of year you put your minerals out, when they're most effective. I know I've read a lot about, I don't know specific numbers, but the prenatal health of that deer can actually be what helps them reach most of their antler potential, can be boiled down to that time in the womb and how important that is with the minerals you're feeding your does. And I know some people might just focus on the bucks because they're the one with antlers, but how important that is throughout the entire herd, buck or doe.
Yes, that is correct. The doe are the most important part of your deer herd. I mean, they're the ones that are producing year after year. And in the womb, they can actually gain so many vitamins and minerals from the doe consuming it. There's deer that I had. I put one post out. This buck, he's a year and a half, his first rack. And guys, it looks like he's been lifting weights. I don't explain it. Some deer are in it more than others, And this one buck, it's on Instagram, and I can share it with anybody. He is standing there in January, and I thought, holy cow, like he's going to be a stud in a couple of years, So the genetic makeup is one thing, but the doe having it while they're pregnant is, I think, probably the most important part.
Well, yeah, that goes back to what you said earlier. The genetic makeup is one thing, and that's generally been proven. You can't do anything with that. I mean, you kind of got what you got, so it really comes down to fulfilling whatever genetic potential that you have.
100%. Where we're at in Southern Ohio, down towards Portsmouth, Ohio, the crop fields, even where I met Shane the first time, is probably, as the crow flies, 7 miles. So the deer that we're hunting are woods deer. There is not the crop potential for them to gain weight. It is browse. Acorns are the biggest thing. So when we really started putting BuildThaBone out and started seeing the body size of our deer change, I was amazed. And, in 3 years on that property, and this is no joke, we had 0 button bucks. My daughter actually was looking at films with me. Everybody runs so many cameras, and I'm flipping through them, and I'm like, what in the heck? What are all these spike bucks? Like, where are the big bucks? Where are the big bucks? And she said, well, Daddy, they're on BuildThaBone. And it clicked for me, and this is 100% honest. And I started looking harder, and so I was asking my brothers and people. I didn't tell them what I was doing. I just said, tell me if you guys see a button buck. Tell me if you see a button buck. And mind you, this is over 1,100 acres of lease and 300 of private, but it's a big area. So to see a deer change and that many deer in that area change, to this day, every one of our cameras, there's 0 button bucks. There's spikes. Our first year bucks, our year and a half, their first racks. They're looking so good and they're looking so healthy. Man, I just get so excited about it.
Okay,
yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Shane.
Oh no, I was just going to agree with him with the part of just being able to put out a product that you believe in and you see it work, and it's right there. It's all right there on camera, and that deer. It's right back to the question of the folks saying, well, how do you know that? Well, there's certain characteristics about a deer, and once you start knowing the inventory that's on your property, you can start. That's where the whole in your deer it came about. Not just deer, but any animal. There's certain characteristics about them that you start name tagging them.
Yeah, and we kind of have a similar thing. We talk about all the time back home with not necessarily button bucks, but more like spike bucks. We're seeing that those 2-year-old bucks, it's almost like they skip our deer skip in any sort of spike phase. And so that's, whether that's genetics or feed, that's something cool to see. And what you're doing is working if you're not even seeing spikes, everything's got, 6 or 8 points. You never do even see, that. So.
Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, go ahead, man. I think it's that plays an important role of genetics and having the proper nutrients that they need. Do you agree with that, Shane?
I agree with that. And when we first found our place, again, there was public hunting all around us. It was 75 acres. We saw some good bucks. We didn't even own the property. We had permission to go and hunt gun season. And in Ohio, it's always the first Monday after Thanksgiving they were allowed to go, and that's the start of gun season. And we saw some great bucks. Saw a lot of bucks, to be honest with you. And the minute that it went from public to lease land, they came in there and they clear-cutted within 1 square mile of us. They clear-cutted close to 800 acres. And that devastated the big bucks. It ran them all out of the area, and not that it always does that. And I've got experience with select cutting now, that how it actually improved our deer. But at that initial moment, I think it was just so much in that area. It pushed so many deer out. Felt like we were starting over. And we consistently had 130, 140-inch deer. I mean, guys, I grew up in construction. I'm still in construction. Craig that started BuildThaBone, he's got a construction company. We were so proud to have 140-inch deer on our cameras, and it was great. Sometimes we get lost in the size of the horns, and it truly is about the overall health of the deer. So fast forward 5 years, we've been doing it. Been leasing for 5 years. It's about the same time that BuildThaBone came into my life, and I started introducing it. But we took our 130, 140-inch deer. Well, now we have 150 and 160-inch deer, to see that jump. And, yeah, it took 5 years. Minerals are not going to be an overnight thing, but when you can see the overall growth of your deer do that, to me, that's huge. That's huge in an area that has no crops, no supplemental. It truly is acorns and browse. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I feel like in some of the toughest area, I've seen some of the best results.
Well, I agree. And a lot of people don't realize that, is that if you're hunting big timber, okay, and you're hunting big timber, like there could be several years that there's no acorn crop, there could be several years that, there's drought, there's this, there's that, so if you're able to give any type of supplement to that animal, why not? And that's going to bring me to the next equation of talking about, mineral sites is, what do you feel that is a potential mineral site, maximizing that? How do you guys feel that BuildThaBone is the right application? And I think there's no wrong or right answer. I think it all depends on from my personal experience, is the type of land that you're dealing with, and the plot of land and how many acres you have. So let's talk a little bit about that, Shane, on like, let's just start off. Let's start off with the 9-to-5 guy that wants to build a mineral site. What's your suggestion on that, and what do you feel is like the key components to start that?
Do you mind if I quickly jump back to how the company was started? I feel like that's kind of... No,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, so Craig Colbreth, a.k.a. Papa Bone, is what we call him now. Late 80s, early 90s, his kids will tell me to this day, he was always out of his garage and had this black bucket. and he was constantly out there putting different things in it, and he was turning it so slow. Guys, he's in Brownsville, Kentucky. That's where BuildThaBone Minerals originated and is from. It is, I believe, don't quote me, is still the only town in Kentucky that doesn't have a stoplight. Their population is 2,000 to 3,000 people. Craig owns a construction business. He is passionate about deer and deer hunting like we all are. And he started doing it for himself. I mean, think about it. Late 80s, 90s, holy cow.
I was thinking about that.
You know what I mean? And he never had it to be anything more than to help his deer. That's all he was trying to do, was to improve his deer and the health of his deer. They do butt up to Mammoth Cave National Park, so they had they had a great genetic testing ground for how deer can grow. And he just did it for himself. And it was probably, they're saying about 2008. He'd been given all through the years. Remember the old metal Folger coffee cans? You know, my parents always had that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But he would fill up his mixes and give them to all his friends and neighbors in the county and everybody he knew. And being in construction, he would travel a little bit. So everybody he ran into, he's like, I'm just mixing this. Can you put it in front of your, put it out and tell me what you think. And it was finally, I think in 2009, people told him, you are silly if you don't put this out for people to buy. Now, you're talking about rural Brownsville, Kentucky. So he spent the next 5 years field testing it with the top names on the product at that time. And all he found was that deer were going to BuildThaBone Minerals over the top products. Well, he got really excited. Can you imagine being from rural Brownsville and this mix you've been working on all this time, and the deer are coming to this more than anything out there that's selling? So he got excited, and with few people pushing him, in 2014, they sent it to the University of Kentucky, got their license, got all the approvals, and they started selling it. We say in 2014 it came to market. Well, when we say come to market, in rural Brownsville, Kentucky, that's 3 or 4 rural stores around them, So it's not really fair to say it came to market, And with his construction business, people loved it. It's a huge thing around their counties there. And it took a minute to get where he's at. And then fast forward to 2015, where I met him. And I started spring of 2015. I bought the minerals and tried it. So to be where we're at now and to start in such a rural place and to start so honestly, it's great. The growth looks amazing. And the growth is only because people that are using it are telling us their results. All I say is tell people, and we go to these expos and do things, and just try a bag for yourself. Try a bag. We're not trying to oversell. We all have full-time jobs, like a lot of people out here. But I'm telling you, there's something different about it. I knew it the minute that I talked to him. I knew the minute that I started trying it. And I think that it will blow people's minds, and it will actually, it has brought in some of the hunters that have hunted, down where we're at, Shane. There's a lot of good hunters in that area. When you shoot every single year, you're doing something, because it is terrible.
Well, I know. Because Frank Williams, and I'll bring his name up because when I started hunting with Frank down at Frank's Deer Urine, and you dropped off that, and I know you guys been friends with him. And when you, just to reiterate, there's good hunters. I can walk into Frank's house and there's literally 32 or 33 bucks on his wall that are over 160 that he has killed on his 700 acres.
Yes, sir.
In Ohio, in Scioto County, when he's been killing them since the 1980s, so for him to kill those, and you know, and hearing the stories, and that's another thing to talk. You know, you know, Frank is when you talk to Frank, it's like, man, you just want to sit there all day long and just chew the fat with him because you have story after story, good impulsive stories, you know, and it's one of those things is sort of he has all those bucks on his wall, and the good stories are the ones that got away, you know, and I think everybody has those, but it's just to reiterate what you have to say about in that area, there are a lot of good whitetail hunters, you know, and in those big timber areas, you do have to put your time in to make it work, you know.
Well, and with Frank, again, ran him by accident, just where my cabin is. He genuinely knew how to. He was growing deer, right? That's what he was doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So the first bag I gave him before I met you, he was giving it to his deer, and he told me the next time I saw him, he said, "They really like it." He's like, "They would eat that whole bag if I put it out there." He's like, "I just give them a little bit." And he impressed me by how his knowledge of deer, because he was growing them, and just he's like, "Man, they eat this better." And then so I went to explain to him that Craig didn't come into this by just trying different things and mixing different things. He studied the digestive system of the herbivore in general. Mm-hmm. And that's what led him to where he's at and what he created. Because let's face it, there's so many things. There's attractants. There's so many things that may smell good to the deer, and let them try it. But will they come to it consistently enough to give them the benefit? And that's I truly feel like that Craig Colbert broke the mold and found the mix where they come to it so often, 100% vitamins and minerals. That's the benefit we're seeing, and it's amazing, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, and none of that foo-foo stuff in there, because, like you said, the market is flooded, and there's all kinds of, you know, call it what you want. It might smell good to us, but the candy, whatever.
And there's a lot of people that talk about Oreos, and they talk about so many things. And, you know, a guy was like, "Oh, I run salt all the time." And I said, "Guys, okay, that's great. Deer love salt. We know that. But if they don't have the other vitamins and minerals they need, they're not going to grow. They'll be deficient in all that." And we've only, I mean, I don't even want to tell you the sales in Ohio last year, and this is the God's honest truth. I bet I was close. I know I was close to 22 tons selling out of my truck of BuildThaBone minerals, because when people try it, I mean, you know how crazy that is?
Well, absolutely, man, and I think you guys got something going on, and that's the key word right there. Is like, and let's just talk about that for just 1 minute. You know, I mean, because there's so many folks that say, "Oh man, it's got salt in it." Well, let me tell you something. Every animal out there on the planet right now loves salt, and even humans, even Homo sapiens. We need salt. We need salt.
My wife, I love her to death, and she cooks awesome. But sometimes she oversalts my shit, and I'm like, "Guys, you know, come on, honey, just a little less."
Yeah, and here's the thing I'm glad you brought that up, Shane, because here's a key component. Animals, if it's too much salt, we're not going to eat it, right? In the same way with animals, they're not going to eat it. If they had enough salt, we're done. Okay, they're only going to take as much as they need, you know, as far as that product. So, you know, when people say, "Well, it's got salt in it," so what? There's other nutritional values in that product that that's out there that's helping the sustainability. You know, let's go a step above of any animal that ingests this product. You know, or any mineral. You know, is these components that are necessary, for sustainable life, in any animal.
Do you mind if I address that for a second?
Absolutely.
So what I've learned over the years, and guys, I didn't know anything coming into this. I really didn't. I know what Craig told me, and I know when I put it out. I know, like, all our stuff, my stuff is field results. That's what it really is. But the salt content, I'll be honest, when I first was looking for everything, those 16 years and doing everything, the high salt contents turned me off. It really did. Mm-hmm. I had no knowledge of what really was going on. So we have our higher salt content than others. Some have higher, and it doesn't matter. But when you have as many vitamins and minerals packed into one 20-pound bag, the key is, how do you get those animals to eat those? Because if you put too much calcium, you put too much. I mean, this is coming from, I got to the point and so frustrated, I was mixing myself like everybody else. I went online and, use a little dye-cal, use this. And the deer hit it, but they didn't really hit it. You know what I mean? So with BuildThaBone Minerals, he's got the mix just right and enough vitamins and minerals that they come to it enough. And a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of different types of salt.
Absolutely.
We bring salt, and I probably shouldn't say this, but we bring in salt from different areas of the country that aren't native to our deer. So it makes them want it even more. And the salt is the first thing to settle in the soil and to go down first. We use a 13-grain mineral, so it leaches slower than a lot of other products. The salt goes first. They're really wanting the salt, but they got to go through all those vitamins and minerals to get to the salt.
Right.
Not to even mention, guys, if you really study, and I'm lucky because I'm in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, we are rich in minerals in our soils. So when those deer are digging through the soil to get to what they want, they're gaining all this extra stuff. Like you saw, Shane, down there at Frank's Deer Yard, the reason he's got as big a deer as he's got, it's rich in minerals in their soils.
So it's kind of like putting the dog's pill in peanut butter. They gotta get what they need, but they don't know they're getting it.
Exactly.
and just being an animal, and we all know white-tailed deer, their survivor rating, I probably didn't say that right, but the way they survive is unbelievable. The way they cope with their environment, the weather, they know what they need. And I feel like when they get into BuildThaBone Minerals, it is something, it's easy on their stomach, number one. That's why he studied their stomachs for so long. And they got 4 chambers, just like a cow. Quick offshoot. I had a woods rabbit, in the minerals all the time. And I called Craig, and this was me just first trying it. And I said, what is going on? He said, Shane, he's an herbivore. He knows what he needs. And he goes, give him a year. It'd be the best eating rabbit you ever had.
That's funny.
and that's what really made me start thinking about, okay, this really just isn't for deer. It's for all herbivores. I truthfully have people in Southern Ohio using it on their horses, their cows. I had a guy today from Arizona. I probably won't pronounce it right. The K-Bib, Kaibib. The guy manages 200 salt licks and over 200 cameras. He reached out to me today because he said, I like what you guys are doing. I like you have it all. You have the vitamins and minerals. And salt by itself isn't going to do anything for the deer or the mule deer or the elk. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but guys, any herbivore loves the heck out of BuildThaBone, and we're just scratching the surface here.
I agree, man, because it's formulated for. I mean, and I'm a testament of that. It's like we have this product from east to west coast now. Just on my personal level of working with you guys is, from elk and anywhere that's mule deer, anywhere that's legal to put out mineral sites. These type of these type of testimonies, you may say, oh yeah, whatever. Well, the game camera picks that is going to be coming out is going to say, okay, well, say different. I mean, there's always going to be those naysayers, but when you catch it on camera,
I'm excited to get that stuff rolling down here because, man, the deer you're going to be seeing, I'm telling you.
Well, and wait till you see those deer already with great genes. They're already great deer. Wait till you see them maximize their genetic potential.
Well, yeah, and not even that, but another thing which I was kind of wanting to segue in here is the antler health. It's one thing to get all those tines, get your full potential that way, but you get a fighter buck and he's going to break that all off if he's not, if something's not right with what he's eating, because I know I have bucks where it's like, hey, that's a nice buck, and then you see him at the end of the season and late muzzleloader comes around and he's out there and he went from a 160 to 100 inches because he broke everything off.
Ethan, that's a great point. And I've got a guy in Southern Ohio right now that, great dude, came to the Columbus, Ohio Deer and Turkey Expo. I won't use his name. Bought 20 bags. And then I delivered more to his place. And he got so excited about the product that he, for 1 minute, people were in his ear and are like, how can you say that in 1 year or 2 years it changed deer so much? So what he did on one of his biggest deer, one of the places he was able to hunt, he didn't put BuildThaBone minerals out, and he put other minerals. And he will jump up and do a testimonial for us now, because he said, guys, my deer lost inches, and he's got the proof of what that deer was on BuildThaBone. He backed it off a year, and I don't want to quote numbers, but that deer almost lost 20 inches. And wow. It was huge. It was the most, and he did it secretly to me, and he texted me and he said, big guy, he said, I got to tell you something. I didn't use your minerals this year. And I said, well, I know, because currently in Ohio, we haven't gotten a lot of stores. We didn't try to get in a bunch of stores yet. We needed to get all the proof that we could before doing it. And I said, I would have brought them to you. I said, I know. And I knew what you were doing. He said, I had to back it off for a year to make sure what I was seeing was really true, because so many people were doubting it. And isn't that crazy? Like, he's a great hunter. He is a great hunter. And down towards where we're talking, Shane, down right towards where we're at. But he literally had to stop doing it to see the camera pictures, to see the proof for himself. And that's the greatest thing you can do in the world. That's how we tell people to do it. Put it out. See the camera pictures for yourself. See what it does. You come to that judgment on your own. I'm not a salesman. I mean, shit. I've worked construction my whole life. I've worked hard. Most people in the industry, we are attracting the hardworking American people because our product's not overpriced, and it really works. And I'm excited. That's probably what I'm most excited about, is getting out to the hardworking people like myself that have put the 6-7 days, the blood, sweat, and tears in, and hunting's their passion. I mean, how many hours and how much money have we spent just trying to look for that? When you work hard, play hard, right?
Absolutely.
So, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
We work so hard, and yes, some of us work harder than others. Some of us make more than each other, but that's okay. But when you really go to spend your money on something, when you work so hard, you want to make sure you spend it in the right place. And especially if you're trying to get your deer healthy or just for the passion, the sport that you love.
Well, yeah, and I've said it last week, and I'll probably keep saying it. I think we've as hunters have kind of gotten over that whole thing of paying out the rear end for a name or something fancy. I think things are coming back around to where you're looking at things more logically and more from a proof in the pudding type angle.
I think that's how we all started. If you go back to our roots.
Yeah.
Yep. Shane, I love your stories of when you were a kid and you went home with your grandpa. Well, I did too. And most people out there had the same feelings and the same, we're just taking it to the next level, and I'm not selling the product. I really am not. But my kids, I have a 12-year-old daughter. She loves hunting and fishing. And to me, that's my proudest moment, knowing that the time I get to spend with her out there, it is awesome. I mean, I wish I could do this full time. I really do. So to have a product that will change your deer and help your hunting, it's the best thing that I've found besides having my kids and being married. But it just feels so right. And when something happens in the right things for the right reason, the people that this company is attracting, guys, I'm not kidding. They are great people. They have some of the same stories, Shane, you do. I mean, it is such a fulfilling thing, I'm not even getting religion, but it just feels like everything happens for the right reason, and things are going really well now, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, absolutely, man. I think everything, not to sound cliche, but it's like, it's always the American dream. It's like you put forth an effort into building something yourself, and that's why we live in this great place, and we want to keep it that way. And I'm not too proud to, or not too ashamed to say, on however you want to say it, to anywhere out there. Everyone, I think all hunters are, for the most part, ultra conservative, and that's the American way, is being able to let everyone that works hard have an opportunity to shine, and I think that's where the unity is broken. And that's why, I love being able to collaborate with hardworking folks in the industry, because really when it comes down to it, I want to work with people that, hardworking people are going to be able to go out there and buy the product and it works. I mean, how many of us have bought something and it's like, man, this thing's piece of shit. I don't ever want to buy this again. So, and that's the same way, man. And I think that's one of the things that, it's something that I like to reiterate in Ethan as well. Is like, we're looking at it from two sides of the spectrum here. Ethan's getting his degree in engineering, and on the road to success, and I'm well established at 45, but we still have to be really ultra conservative in like how we spend our money, because he's putting himself through school. I have a wife and 4 kids, so it's one of those type of things. Like, where do we put our money, and do we want it to work? And that's one of the points that, being a conservationist is like, it kind of comes right into, like, it doesn't matter if you have 20 acres or if you have 2,000 acres. Like, there's a budget for everything, right? I mean, you're not going to put out on 2,000 acres, you're not going to put out 10 mineral sites on 20 acres, right? So, let's chat about that for a minute, Shane. It's like, you guys are seeing these stories and what you guys recommend, and it's like, break it down a little bit on like what you would suggest to guys. Like, I mean, I have a couple, 20-acre parcels that I hunt on, own myself, that I can do mineral sites, and I've always done it, but I think for the most part, I think folks need to be encouraged that if you're going to hunt 20 acres, well, do a little bit more than just hunt it. Give that animal a reason to be there, because most folks fail to realize that if you have nothing to offer on that piece of 20 acres, it has no reason to be there. So you're not going to kill it. You know what I mean?
I do. It's kind of like we tell our kids, right? Playing sports. For me, it's sports related. Hunting is, I've never had the adrenaline rush that I have unless it was in sports. So I tell my kids, don't show up. Don't show up if you're not going to give it 100%. So I feel like the hunting industry is the same way. And you'll find most people think that way too. 20 acres, 100 acres, it really doesn't matter. We've seen BuildThaBone, once you establish a site, it's brought in deer that we never had on camera before. It brings in, it actually, sometimes I can't really explain it. And it's not a magic thing. It's not, but it's just the deer know what they need, and they're a social animal. So when they go off and they go a mile or 2 miles and lick each other's face or do whatever they do, they're attracting more deer back to what they really like and what is really, they feel like needs. You know what I mean? They know what works for them. I know I'm not saying it right, but there's something about it that is so natural and so amazing that it works so well.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, we're on air. You're out there with competitors, and everyone loves to be competitive, and you're not going to say all your top secrets. I mean, nobody's going to say that. I'm not going to tell everybody to the world, why I'm successful on filling 30 tags a year. I'm not going to share everything, because then everybody's going to want to do it, right? So it's like, that's the thing is, like, it works, or there's testimony behind it, and you keep doing what you're doing. And one of the things that I can't reiterate enough is just doing your part. And I think it just comes right back to success. And the key word that I've always been told, even growing up, success breeds success. And if you surround yourself with successful people, success is nothing more than opening up the door.
And my parents said the same thing, and it can't be more true than that. I kind of diverted off what you were saying there, but as far as if you're, hardworking people are looking at, and I didn't want to spend money like I spent money, but I did, because when you're passionate about something, people are passionate about cars. People are passionate about racing. How much money you spend money on things you're passionate about. And the greatest thing I think about us is that it came so organic from Craig doing that himself for years and years and years, never wanting anything, never trying to take it to market, me trying it. It's evolved into his son, Corey, is amazing. He's the one that developed the new BuildThaBone logo. So it just seems like we have picked up the best of the best of the best, and it's all coming together. And the truth of the matter is that when people see what it does, they're 20-pound bags put out, 5 bags around the mineral site all year long, $22.95 online. If you get it shipped, most people up here, we can deliver it if we can, Kentucky. But even the shipping, if you really look at it, I was the guy I was running corn all year long just to try to keep the deer there. Well, if I did the numbers and did it backwards, I'm saving money by using a mineral site and using it all year long. And yes, I do add corn right before bow season. next to it, and it just, minerals can bring the deer in. It'll actually add more deer. I can't say enough about it.
So, like, what do you recommend as far as mineral sites? Let me rephrase that: acres per mineral site. I mean, I know obviously it depends on the farm, but what's reasonable? So, for example, I hunt 400 acres here in southern Iowa. I don't know, 50% timber. The rest would be ag. What would a guy run on something like that as far as with your product?
Well, and the fields to woods are a different story. We say that 50 to 75 acres, one mineral site will attract the deer enough. So,
okay,
depending on the area of the land, there's some people have 20 acres, and in a unique place with travel corridors are huge. So I've met people that have 20, 30 acres, two different travel corridors. They don't catch the same deer on the cameras from one side of the 30 acres to the other side. And I experienced it myself down there in southern Ohio. And I can't explain it. Some of these deer have a travel corridor. Some go one way, some go the other. But a good rule of thumb is 50 to 75 acres for one mineral site. And like I said, 5 bags will run you a site all year long.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can attest to that. I had the buck I was hunting this year. There was a line I drew in the property, and that deer didn't cross that line. An imaginary line. So one mineral site, would have completely taken care of that deer and obviously others, and never crossed that line, which is just crazy.
Well, and two, once you create that spot, my younger brother and I down there, we had he's got a great spot, and about, let's just call it half a mile from him, we had another spot. Well, they're hitting the spot because the other spot was more remote. And finally I said, these are too close to each other. They weren't 50 acres apart. So we took that one away, and guess what? His site blew up, and all the deer came to that spot. And every property is unique. I know there's food spot in this property. It really is. You could have 10 acres with 2 travel corridors. You could have 2 sites on each end of it and not get the same deer. So it's not really fair to say 50, 75 acres. It's unique to every property. But I will tell you, once you establish a BuildThaBone mineral site, you will attract more deer and deer that come in than you've seen before. We started down there in southern Ohio. We had, when we thought we were really getting good, we had 4 to 5 shooters. And our shooters, we classified them in 140 and above. That 140-inch deer is a big deer. Let's not forget about hunting in general. We all get caught up in the rack size and all that stuff. But once we established that and started seeing the deer grow from there, man, it's been amazing, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, 140-inch deer is no joke. I've seen some 140-inch deer that make your jaw drop, so.
I agree. And, just to reiterate on 140 inch, like, for the most part, folks look at everyone that's out there killing, 200-inch deer. And, we say this a lot, don't we, Ethan, as far as, like, a lot of folks don't have those type of properties to do that consecutively. And let's face it, you're not going to do that every year unless you are able to sustain and manage a herd.
It takes special circumstances. That is for
100%. Sure. There's very few in the industry that can do that every year, and everyone knows who those a couple elite people do, and they work their asses off every year to make that happen. There's no joke about it, So, but for anyone that goes out and kills a good mature animal, let's just face it. There's been 200-inch deer killed on small tracts of land, and there's also been the biggest buck in that area, it may only be a 140-inch deer on that 20-acre parcel that you're hunting, but that might be the biggest, maturest buck in that area. And if you do the things right to make that area attractive, that's attractable for that particular animal, chances are going to be a lot greater in your favor if you do those things.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like what we talked about earlier. It's not about the size; it's about maximizing your genetic potential and maximizing your situational potential. You can sit around all day and dream about having a giant piece of land, but if in reality you got 40 acres of, say, private, you got permission on it, you got 40 acres to work with, and you want to grow those deer to their maximum, and then you want to harvest the most mature deer, and you can get, like I said, you can sit around and scroll Instagram and daydream all day, but unless you're literally putting money away for a property or a hunt, that's what you got to work with, and I think that's what we're talking about here.
Oh, 100%. I think if everybody did those little things to, and I say it's little things, but it's really intricate details to management. If everyone participated in that, I think you could, along with some common sense management, which could or could not be influential in the industry.
Well, there's always a little bit of luck involved.
Yeah.
Or bad luck, depending on the day.
Yeah, 100% on that. It's just doing your part, with everything, and I think in the end, it all could be very successful.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, just to reiterate that the reason that BuildThaBone Minerals has made such an impact on me, and again, I stumbled into this. I stumbled into meeting you, Shane, Bone Maniacs. When I saw your trailer at Frank's, I was like, holy cow, look at that guy. You're like, he's got it going on. But it was so organic, and when people really put the products out, we always say, put 2 bags out now, 2 20-pound bags, 40 pounds, and then refresh it every 2 to 3 months. 5 bags will run a mineral cycle all year long and will maximize your deer potential. I've got so many pictures and so many things, and I think I said that in social media that I'm not that organized. I build homes. I'm 60, 70 hours building homes and doing this, but there's something about BuildThaBone that I wish every hunter would at least try. And compared to everything else, I'll be honest, there's an author up in Northeast Ohio, almost Pennsylvania, and he's putting out a mineral challenge. And I sent him 2 bags the other day. And a lot of people backed out and a lot of people didn't. And he's doing it the right way. And they said, they hunt over 4,000 acres. So he's separating them big time. But, why not do that? Because he's only going to bring the positive out of everything. It's not just our product. He's going to bring it. But I feel like he's doing it for 3 years. And we're gonna see some results. We're gonna see some things. I'm excited about it in general. There is not one person that I know of, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, that buys BuildThaBone from us that doesn't become a consistent customer. They go from buying a couple bags to, and now we have 50-pound buckets, now to 500-pound barrels. Guys, I run 500-pound barrels around the state of Ohio, people from Pennsylvania coming because it works, and that's great. That's a great feeling. And I don't mind taking up a whole weekend to drive minerals to somewhere until we get established enough in the stores. But it's a passion. It's a passion. And when these people send me pictures and comments and they're so excited, man, I get excited. And I think that's what it's truly about.
For sure. For sure.
Well, and to touch base on that is like you just met up with Timmy there in Ohio, and you dropped off some mineral with him.
Yes, sir.
And you know, let's not forget, we're driving into Cincinnati this year, and the wife's like, "You're hunting here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "This is definitely not your style." And I'm like, "You'll go anywhere for the right buck." Hunting these small urban areas. I killed that buck on 24 acres there. So we're going to see some serious stuff coming with this, and Timmy's already put it out. And the problem is that having too much content and getting it all out at the right time is the key. And as a testament of your all stuff, Shane, it's I know it worked at Frank's because I killed 4 Pope and Young bucks back to back at his property. The biggest one being 162 inches. And for me, I'm not about killing the biggest buck. It's like I'm about filling tags. So the first mature buck that comes in me that's 140 plus, it's going to meet its maker.
Well, and Shane, one thing we should clarify is when you're talking about Timmy, that he's over there with Whitetail Heaven Outfitters.
Yeah, well, he's got his there at Whitetail Heaven, and then he's got his properties there in Ohio as well, which where Shane dropped those off. I just don't want to get anything mixed up. That was at Timmy's place there in Ohio.
Gotcha.
We're working on that in Kentucky, aren't we, Shane?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And do you know the greatest thing for me is that I don't ever push it down. People are like, why aren't you more stores? I don't go to stores and try to push it. They're getting it out here like we're doing it. All of a sudden stores will call us and be like, man, can we put it in our store? And again, to be organic, just to be honest and how the way that everything has come out, I love that more. We're not trying to, we all have, again, regular jobs. But if we can help that hunter next to us, what if I could save those 16 years of $300 to $400 every expo? I mean, shit, it would have been great. But it's really giving a good product at a good price. And again, quit running corn all year long. Guys, put minerals out. Minerals. Put them out and run your deer all year long and watch the difference. I mean, I can't say enough about that.
I have to agree with that 100%.
Well, and I know I've talked about it already, but there's no sugars, there's no additives, there's no molasses. I see so many mixes, and again, I know there's difference between feed and minerals, but to be honest with you, if you run something 100% vitamins and minerals, it won't mold and mildew. It won't. It'll never hurt your deer. And I know it's metastatic cancer. It's very rare. But if a deer eats enough mold and mildew, and they will, if it's got the right attractant, if it's got something they really want, they'll eat that mold and mildew, and it's going to hurt your deer.
Well,
and
if we're talking most bang for your buck, you're putting out, they have their feed, that we're talking minerals and vitamins. We're not talking feed, Sure. So if you're going with the pure substance of what they need, bang for your buck right there. So.
And again, $22.95 for 20 pounds, 5 bags run the whole year. I shipped 8 bags to Alabama the other day. I mean, shipped to Pennsylvania, Texas. We could go on and on. And people are excited about it, and they don't mind paying the shipping, because I think what's happening, like myself down there, how many hundreds and thousands of dollars were I using in the off season with corn and everything else, when really you can give something that's really going to work, benefit your deer. You don't mind paying the shipping on it because it doesn't take as much as everybody says. I've seen things 5 bags replenish every week. And I mean, it just, again, props to Craig Colbert that started this. He did it the right way. He is the most humble person I've ever met in my life. And he should really be on a different platform, because he is doing the right thing for the right reasons and didn't even mean to sell it to anybody. That's what I love the most.
Well, right. And well, that's how things happen. Sometimes they happen by accident, you know. Einstein did that several times.
It's great. I know I've been talking a lot. I get so excited. The best advice I can give is that try it for yourself. Put it in front of your cameras. When people say, oh, well, they're just coming to it, you know. Well, they're coming to it. Look at the ingredients. When they're coming to it so often, they're getting those vitamins and minerals. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Again, mule deer, elk. Wait till you see where this goes, because it is easy on their stomach. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in it 100%. My job keeps me so busy, but I love it. And I want to share it with every hunter, every hardworking American like me. I don't want to spend $50 on one bag. I don't want to. If I could spend $120 for the year, $150 to run one mineral site and watch my deer improve, and I'm in every single day.
That's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how things go this year with it. I'm thinking maybe I'll do a little bit of a case studies type situation with the cameras and see what they're preferring here in Iowa.
Well, and that's what we love the most, truthfully. And it doesn't matter so far where BuildThaBone's been. Put it in front of your camera. Tell us. Is there a certain part of the United States where it doesn't work? Well, I don't know yet, because everywhere else is working great. So if there is a spot, then I'll say, okay, don't use BuildThaBone in those certain states. But I truly, truly believe that it's the right thing for almost everywhere. And again, just to jump back to Ohio, there was a Outdoor Life article, and I forget the gentleman's name who wrote it. He's from Michigan. He comes into Ohio and hunts. And he said, why is Ohio one of the top-rated states? And talk about the minerals in our soil. There's gentlemen up here 30 miles north of me. It's a concrete plant. So they mine the minerals out of the ground, right? But they own like 5,000 acres. And I'm not going to name names. But everybody that works for the company is able to hunt. They hunt about 5,000 acres, and I think there's 28 of them. And I just met them last year. And I told them, they were showing me some of the deer. And guys, they won't show you the deer because everybody will try to come down and get a job there. I'm not joking you. It is, I can't explain it. I really can't. You know about 200? Talk about 200 plus. But I told the fella, I said, man, I don't think BuildThaBone's going to work for you, because you already have it naturally. You have freaks. You have freaks. You have freaks. And I was nervous because I didn't want to use the product and be like, it didn't work. Well, you already had everything you need. You have 240-inch deer. I mean, natural. It's free range. It blew my mind. They started using BuildThaBone, and they started grabbing more bags and more bags and more bags. And I'm laughing and saying, what? He goes, they're tearing it up. And I'm like, how are they tearing it up? They already have every mineral that they need that I thought. But there's something in our mix that they craved and that they came for and it just made them even better. And we're going to do some testimonials about that. I said, give me 2 years. You know, you guys use it 3 years. But in a very rich mineral environment, they still were coming to BuildThaBone, and it truly blew my mind.
And that's what it's all about right there, Shane, is building testimonials, utilizing products that you know it's worked, and out there just, you know, what's the old saying? Do an honest day for an honest day's wage, you know, and I think that's what most of the 20 million hardworking hunters out there that go out and enjoy the sport, they want to impress that into their next generations of, you know, because ultimately what people forget is that it's in our DNA. Regardless of what people say, it's in our DNA. We're going to remain hunters, and you know, for the turn of man, it's in our DNA. So no matter what people say about you know, sportsmen and sportsmen alike, you know, we're here to stay and to improve on what we have as conservationists, sportsmen, hunters, whatever the title may be. And you know, I'm super ecstatic to be on board with you guys this year and share your passion and influence it with the folks that follow along with my crazy lifestyle across the state. And you know, we're heading into some core areas, and you know, one of the areas is, you know, it's the big mecca there that's always been accounted for, although it's really hard to get an archery tag there in Iowa, having Ethan on board of doing the podcast. And, you know, we're going to have you back on, and we'll do some how-to and tips, you know, to show people, and we'll start doing this stuff later on in the season with Zoom, and we're going to have all of our partners on board for doing this. And, you know, and it's something to get folks really interested in and checking out the product. And that's one thing that, you know, where can everybody find BuildThaBone?
So out there, it's BuildThaBone.com. Find it online. You can order. Our 20-pound bags are readily available to ship. Our 50-pound buckets are readily available to ship. Our barrels are readily available to ship. But depending on your location, there's people. There's a fellow reached out to me today. I'm not kidding. I said it earlier, in Arizona. If there's enough of it, we'll bring it to you ourselves. It's just, we love meeting the people that use it and the stories. And I can't tell you how genuine it is for us. And we just love it, man. That's all I know.
Well, that's what it's all about right there. And I think if anyone is listening to that, and you know, it's worth giving a shot, because you guys and Craig has put so much hard work and effort into it. Is that, you know, and it's proof. I mean, you know, there's giants been killed by it, and not only that, you know, it's just a good conservation purpose to utilize on your land. You know, just to help the animal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for everybody listening, you know, keep your eyes, if you got questions or whatever, keep your eyes on the Instagram, Facebook page, and you'll see pretty soon here what we're dealing with.
We're not out here to make a dollar. It really isn't. It's not disappoint the people. Guys, I was 22 years. My brother and I were Ellis Custom Homes. You know, we built something. My dad taught us from a little kid. I was pouring concrete. I was framing houses. I have worked my ass off in construction, and you know, just recently, the last 2 years, with a different company in Cincinnati, Ohio, which has been amazing. So I know what it is for hard work So we're not trying to sell you anything. That's why our motto is just buy a bag. Even if it's one bag, just try it. Your money is so well spent. And when you see the results on your own camera, not somebody telling you what it is, you make the decision for yourself. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that the true hunters that give it a chance and see what it does for themselves. I mean, you can't put out one bag and expect things to change. But 5 bags for the year, okay, that's 1 year. 10 bags for 2 years, guys, try it. I'm telling you, it will amaze you like it's amazed me, and we'll have something to talk about. I love it so much.
Well, I mean, really, that's just, with the conservation in mind, that folks need to realize that you reap what you sow, right? So if you invest in a little bit of time and effort, do the right thing, utilize the products like they're supposed to be, things are going to happen.
That goes back to putting in 100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Guys, I send that to everybody. Somebody sent me that, the guy from Arizona today. Will this work on mule deer? No. And my response was 100%. And
I know for a fact.
and I've got other pictures that I was told not to share. There's so many things, and I respect every hunter out there. Guys, probably half of my stuff, 3/4 maybe, they say, please don't share. Please don't share. I love that they text me and they send me all this stuff. It is so neat to see that. And I don't have to put it on social media for anything. I'm proud that they're sending that to me, and I respect them enough that, I won't do anything that you don't want. But I'm just telling you, it's way bigger than it looks out there. And we're just a small company. So it really is a real deal. And I can't wait to share it with all you guys and watch you see it for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Heck yeah, Shane. Well, man, I tell you, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. And, I'm super excited to see where this goes this year, mainly to prove to the folks that's out there, just what this small company is all about with big dividends. And we're going to have you on again. We're going to have some photos to share. We're going to have some good testimonies as BuildThaBone is put to work. And Shane, man, we'll keep plugging along, and I know you will. And we'll be in touch soon. How's that?
Sounds great, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I know sometimes I get long-winded about it, but I'll tell you, if other people aren't passionate about what they're doing, they should quit doing it and do something else. So
that's exactly right.
I agree with you 100%.
So you're telling me I need to quit school?
Well, I'm not saying that if you're passionate about it.
I don't think I am right now.
Well, hey, Ethan, you're going to have to do a lot of podcasts, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we'll do whatever is most honest and whatever comes to us, because that is what's been working for BuildThaBone, and I love it, and thank you guys seriously so much for taking the time. I know you're all busy, but thank you for taking time, giving me this minute to get out there to the people following you guys. And I truly, if they do a system of at least a year, they're not going to be disappointed.
Well, I agree, man. I agree 100%. We have proof of that down in Frank's, with what we have going on down there and whatnot, and we'll have more proof in the bag here real soon. And
guys, thank you so much. I can't wait to talk to you guys again. We'll have even more information the next time. Again, I'm learning as we go, and I think that's part of it I love the most. Everybody, we don't, it's not so much, to me, it's about sharing it with people and watching their stories, even more than myself shooting the big deer. It's like taking a kid hunting. You get more enjoyment out of a kid hunting than you do sometimes yourself. Well, actually, every time yourself. So it's exciting for me every time BuildThaBone is used, and the stories that come back, man, it's better than me shooting a 180-inch deer myself. So that's all I got to say.
Well, I agree, man. Well, you can find you guys over on Facebook, on BuildThaBone, and on IG at BuildThaBone as well.
Yes, sir.
And guys, thanks again for listening to the Maniacs Chew the Fat with Shane Ellis here, the Director of Sales at BuildThaBone. We sure do appreciate you having you on, Shane.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks, Shane.
Hey guys, you can find us over on social media, on IG, on Bone Maniacs. You can find us on Facebook, Bone Maniacs, bonemaniacs.com, and over on Waypoint TV and Taking Aim on Tuesday nights from 8 to 11.